My parents said my sister was suicidal and needed my $200,000 property to survive. Then I discovered her secret business. Hey friends. Got a sec? Drop your thoughts in the comments and hit subscribe. It's quick for you, but it really means a lot to us. Alright, let's dive into today's story. Original post. I never thought I'd be writing here, but I'm at a complete loss and need outside perspective. I'm Marcus, 28M, and I'm facing pressure from my parents George, 55M, and Helen, 53F, to transfer ownership of my rental property to my younger sister Emma, 24F. Some background. 3 years ago, my grandfather passed away and left me a small rental property in his will. It wasn't much, a modest 2-bedroom house in a decent neighborhood, but Grandpa specifically left it to me because I spent summers helping him maintain his properties when I was younger. Emma was always closer to our grandmother, who left her jewelry collection to Emma when she passed 5 years ago. The rental income has been my safety net. I work in IT, but the tech industry has been volatile lately. The $1,800 monthly rent has allowed me to build an emergency fund and even help my parents with their car payment a few times when Dad's hours got cut at the factory. 6 months ago, Emma went through what my parents describe as a devastating breakup with her boyfriend of 2 years, Ryan. According to them, she's been unable to work, barely leaves her childhood bedroom at their house, and is struggling with severe depression. My parents have been supporting her entirely, paying for her therapy, medications, and all living expenses. Last week, my parents invited me over for dinner. I should have known something was up when Mom made all my favorite dishes. After dessert, Dad cleared his throat and said they needed to discuss something important. Marcus, we need to talk about Emma, Mom began, her eyes already tearing up. Dr. Peterson says she needs stability and purpose to recover. She needs to feel independent again. Dad jumped in, we think you should transfer the rental property to Emma. Not sell it to her, just sign it over. The rental income would give her the stability she needs to get back on her feet. I sat there, stunned. You want me to just give her my property? You're strong, Marcus, Mom said, reaching across the table to grab my hand. You have a good job, a bright future. You can start over. But Emma, she's fragile. She might not survive another blow. The security of having that property could save her life. Mom, that's dramatic. Is it? Dad interrupted. You didn't see her after Ryan left. We found her with a bottle of pills, Marcus. We didn't tell you because we didn't want to worry you, but this is life or death. I felt my chest tighten. Why didn't you tell me? Of course I want to help Emma, but this is a huge ask. That property is worth at least $200,000, and the rental income. Money, Mom spat the word like it tasted bitter. Is money really more important than your sister's life? That's not fair, and you know it. Helen's eyes hardened. What's not fair is that you got the property in the first place. You were always Grandpa's favorite just because you're a boy and liked working with your hands. Emma loved him just as much. Grandma left Emma her jewelry collection worth at least $30,000, I reminded them. She sold that to pay for college, Dad said dismissively. You got to keep your inheritance. The conversation deteriorated from there. They accused me of being selfish, materialistic, and abandoning family values. Mom cried. Dad said he was disappointed in the man I'd become. They even suggested that Grandpa would be ashamed of me for not helping Emma. I left feeling sick to my stomach. The thing is, I've always been close to Emma. Growing up, I protected her from bullies, helped with homework, and drove her to parties in high school. But something feels off about this situation. First, Emma hasn't reached out to me directly about any of this. We text occasionally, and while she's mentioned being sad about the breakup, she's never indicated she's in crisis. Second, my parents have a history of financial enabling with Emma. They paid for her entire college education, I had loans, bought her a car for graduation, I drove a 15-year-old Honda, and have been supporting her fully for 6 months now. Third, the therapist they mentioned, Dr. Peterson, seems legitimate, I looked him up, but I find it hard to believe any professional would recommend a property transfer as treatment for depression. My girlfriend, Sarah, thinks I'm being manipulated. She pointed out that if Emma's mental health is truly that fragile, she shouldn't be responsible for managing a rental property anyway. What happens when the tenant calls at midnight with a plumbing emergency? Won't that stress make her worse? I also called my friend Tyler, who's a therapist, without naming names. He said that while financial stability can help with mental health, simply giving someone a massive asset rarely solves underlying depression. It might even make things worse if the person feels they didn't earn it, he said. But then I think about Emma possibly being suicidal, and I feel like a monster. What if my parents are right? What if something happens to her and I could have prevented it by just signing over the property? I'd never forgive myself. I've been losing sleep over this. The rental income isn't just extra money for me, it's my security. But can I really put a price on my sister's life? Am I the asshole for not immediately agreeing to help my supposedly suicidal sister? Should I just sign over the property and figure out my own finances later? Or am I right to be suspicious about this whole situation? Update 1, 2 weeks later. I want to thank everyone who responded to my original post. Your comments gave me the courage to trust my instincts and dig deeper into the situation. After reading your advice, I decided to reach out to Emma directly. I texted her asking if we could grab coffee, just the two of us. She responded pretty quickly, saying she'd love to but was having a bad week, and asked for a rain check. This seemed odd because on Instagram, she'd posted stories of herself at a yoga class that same day. I decided to be more direct. I called her and said I was worried about her, that Mom and Dad had told me she was struggling. Her response caught me off guard. "Oh my God, are they still going on about that?" she said, sounding more annoyed than depressed. "I'm fine, Marcus. Yes, the breakup sucked, but I'm dealing with it. Mom just catastrophizes everything. They said you were suicidal, Em." There was a long pause. "That's... Jesus, they actually said that?" I was upset one night and said something like, "What's the point of anything?" and Mom freaked out. I wasn't suicidal, I was being dramatic. You know how I get. "So you don't need the rental property for your mental health recovery?" "What? What rental property?" My blood ran cold. "Mom and Dad didn't talk to you about this?" "About what?" "Marcus, you're scaring me." I explained the whole situation. Emma was quiet for so long I thought the call had dropped. "They want you to give me your rental house? The one from Grandpa?" "Marcus, I would never ask for that. That's insane. And I definitely don't need it for my recovery. I'm actually doing okay. I've been seeing someone new, and I started doing freelance graphic design from home." "Mom and Dad said you haven't been able to work." "I haven't been able to work at the job they want me to have," she corrected. "They think anything online isn't real work. But I'm actually making decent money." This changed everything. I confronted my parents the next day. The conversation did not go well. "You went behind our backs to Emma?" Mom was furious. "We're trying to protect her." "From what?" "She says she's fine." "She doesn't know what she needs," Dad insisted. "We're her parents. We know better." "So this was never about her mental health?" Mom's face crumbled. "Marcus, we're drowning. Your father's hours have been cut permanently. We're behind on the mortgage. We can't afford to support Emma anymore, but she needs us. Then why not just ask me for help with your mortgage instead of constructing this elaborate lie?" "It's not a lie." Dad slammed his hand on the table. "Emma is struggling. And if she had that property income, she could help us with our bills too. Everyone wins. Everyone except me, who loses a $200,000 asset." "You're being selfish," Mom whispered. "Family helps family." I left their house feeling betrayed but also oddly relieved. At least now I knew the real situation. Sarah suggested I put some distance between myself and my parents while I processed everything. I agreed and told them I needed space to think. That was 5 days ago. Then this morning, everything exploded. Sarah and I had planned a trip to visit her parents in London for 2 weeks. We've been dating for 3 years, and this was my first time meeting them. The trip had been planned for months, and my parents knew about it. We left last Monday. Everything seemed fine. Sarah's parents were lovely, and I was actually starting to relax for the first time in weeks. Then yesterday, I got a call from my property management company. They handle the day-to-day operations of my rental. "Mr. Marcus, I'm calling about the listing," the property manager, Jennifer, said. "What listing?" "The for sale listing. We received paperwork from you stating you want to sell the property. We just need to coordinate with the tenants for showing times." My heart stopped. I never submitted any paperwork to sell. The property is not for sale. Jennifer went quiet. "Sir, we have the documents with your signature. Your sister Emma dropped them off in person 2 days ago. She said she was handling the sale for you while you were abroad." I've never been so angry in my life. I told Jennifer to immediately halt any proceedings, that the documents were forged, and that I would be dealing with this legally when I returned. I called my parents. Dad answered. "What have you done?" I didn't even try to hide my rage. "Marcus, calm down. Did you forge documents to try to sell my property? It's not forgery if it's for family, he said, and I swear I could hear Mom coaching him in the background. Emma needs this. We need this. You're being unreasonable. What you've done is illegal. It's fraud. I could have you arrested. You wouldn't dare, Mom got on the phone. We're your parents. We changed your diapers. We raised you. This is how you repay us. You tried to steal from me. It's not stealing when it's family redistribution of assets, she said, and I realized she'd rehearsed this line. Your grandfather would understand. He always said family comes first. Grandpa also said that a man's word is his bond, and you've lied to me repeatedly. The call ended with them telling me I was no longer welcome in their home until I came to my senses and agreed to help Emma. I immediately called Emma. She was mortified. Marcus, I swear I didn't know. Mom asked me to drop off some documents at your property manager's office. She said it was routine maintenance stuff and you'd asked her to handle it while you were gone. I'm so sorry. I believe her. Emma sounded genuinely upset and offered to go to the property management company to explain she'd been duped. I've since contacted a lawyer here in London who gave me a referral to a colleague in the States. I'm documenting everything. The forged documents, the text messages, the calls. Sarah's been amazing through all of this, but I can see she's shocked by my family's behavior. I'm cutting my trip short to go home and deal with this. Part of me can't believe it's come to this, considering legal action against my own parents. But they crossed a line. They tried to steal my property, and they used Emma to do it. I'll update again once I'm back in the States and have met with the lawyer. I never thought I'd be in this position, but here we are. Update 2-3 weeks later. I'm back in the States, and things have escalated beyond what I could have imagined. When I got home, I immediately met with my lawyer, Robert. He reviewed all the documentation and confirmed what I already knew. This was attempted fraud and identity theft. He also recommended I hire a forensic accountant to review my parents' finances, as their story about Dad's reduced hours didn't add up with their apparent spending patterns. In cases like these, Robert explained, there's usually more to the story. If they were desperate enough to forge documents, they might be hiding something. I was hesitant at first. These are my parents, after all. But Sarah pointed out that I needed the full picture to protect myself, so I agreed. Meanwhile, Emma had been doing her own investigation. She came to my apartment last week, looking shaken. Marcus, I need to show you something, she said, pulling out her laptop. After what happened with the property manager, I started going through Mom and Dad's things. I know I shouldn't have, but something felt really wrong. She showed me bank statements she'd found in Dad's home office. Our parents had taken out a second mortgage on their house 6 months ago, right around when Emma's breakdown supposedly started. Look at these withdrawals, Emma pointed to the screen. Every week, $2,000 in cash. That's almost $50,000 in 6 months. What are they doing with that much cash? But that wasn't the biggest shock. Emma had also found emails between our parents and someone named Vincent. Who's Vincent? I asked. Dad's brother who lives in Vegas, Emma said. The one who always has a sure-thing investment opportunity. My stomach dropped. Uncle Vincent was the family's black sheep, a chronic gambler who'd burned through his own inheritance years ago. The emails revealed that Dad had been sending him money for various investment opportunities that were clearly gambling schemes. They've been funding his gambling with their home equity, Emma said, tears in her eyes. And now they want your property to pay it back. But the revelations didn't stop there. The forensic accountant, Nathan, called me yesterday with his preliminary findings, and what he discovered changed everything. Mr. Marcus, in reviewing the financial documents your sister provided and some public records, I found something interesting. Your sister Emma appears to be running a successful online business. She mentioned doing some freelance graphic design. It's more than that. She's running a full digital marketing agency under an LLC registered at your parents' address. Based on the bank records, her business has generated approximately $200,000 in revenue over the past year. I nearly dropped the phone. That's impossible. She's been living with my parents, supposedly unable to work due to depression. The business was registered 13 months ago, well before her supposed breakdown. She's been filing taxes, maintaining proper books, and from what I can see, running quite a successful operation. I confronted Emma that evening. To my surprise, she didn't deny it. Okay, yes, I have a business, she admitted. But Mom and Dad don't know how successful it is. They think I make maybe a few $100s a month playing around online. Emma, you're making $200,000 a year and letting them think you're destitute? She looked uncomfortable. It started small. When Ryan and I broke up, yes, I was genuinely upset. I stayed with Mom and Dad for what I thought would be a few weeks. But my business started taking off right around then. I hired 2 virtual assistants, landed 3 major clients, and suddenly I was making more money than I ever had. So why the act? It wasn't an act at first. But then Mom and Dad started this whole narrative about me being fragile and needing protection. Every time I tried to tell them about my business success, they'd dismiss it as playing on the computer, or say I was having delusions of grandeur as part of my depression. They literally wouldn't believe me. You could have shown them your bank statements. Emma laughed bitterly. I tried. Mom said I was probably involved in some kind of scam and needed to be careful. Dad said online money wasn't real, and I needed a proper job with benefits. After a while, I just gave up trying to convince them. But you let them support you financially while you were making 6 figures? They insisted. Emma pulled up her phone and showed me text after text of her trying to pay rent or contribute to groceries, and our parents refusing, saying she needed to focus on healing and that they were happy to help their struggling daughter. Meanwhile, they were going into debt feeding Uncle Vincent's gambling addiction and trying to steal my property to cover it. Emma nodded. I had no idea about the gambling until I found those emails. Marcus, I swear I thought they were just being overprotective parents. I never imagined they'd try to take your inheritance. Yesterday, I had a family meeting with just Emma present. We laid out everything we knew. 1. Our parents had borrowed against their house to fund Uncle Vincent's gambling. 2. They'd constructed an elaborate lie about Emma's mental health to manipulate me into giving up my property. 3. They'd committed fraud by forging documents. 4. They'd been refusing Emma's money while claiming poverty. 5. They'd been lying to both of us for months. Emma and I decided to confront them together. We went to their house this morning. The conversation was surreal. When presented with the evidence, they first denied everything. Then, when shown the actual documents, they shifted tactics. Vincent is family, Dad said defensively. He needed help. So you chose to help your gambling addict brother over your own children? I asked. It's not like that. Vincent promised he'd pay us back triple. We were going to surprise you both with the profits. Emma laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. You were going to surprise us with gambling winnings that would never come? Mom turned on her. And you, lying about needing our help when you're apparently rich. I never lied. You refused to believe me. And I'm not rich, I'm successful. There's a difference. You manipulated us, Dad accused. That's rich coming from the people who forged legal documents, I shot back. The meeting ended with an ultimatum from me. They had 48 hours to come clean to Uncle Vincent that the money train was over, and they needed to seek financial counseling. If they didn't, I would proceed with pressing charges for fraud. You'd send your own parents to jail? Mom asked, tears streaming down her face. You'd steal from your own son? I responded. It's been 12 hours since that conversation. Emma and I are sitting in my apartment now, trying to process everything. She's already started the process of getting her own place and has offered to pay me back for any legal fees I've incurred. I can't believe they did this, she keeps saying. I mean, I knew they were controlling, but this. They were desperate, I said, though I'm not sure if I'm trying to excuse them or just understand them. Sarah has been my rock through all of this. She's pointed out that this isn't really about money. It's about control and their inability to see us as adults capable of making our own decisions. My lawyer says I have a strong case if I choose to pursue it. But do I really want to send my parents to jail? They're in their 50s, probably about to lose their house, and have burned bridges with both their children. I don't know what comes next. The 48-hour deadline is tomorrow night. Part of me hopes they'll come to their senses, get help, and we can start rebuilding. But another part of me knows that the trust is broken, possibly forever. Final update, 3 months later. It's been 3 months since everything imploded, and I wanted to provide a final update for those who followed this story. My parents did not meet the 48-hour deadline. Instead, they showed up at my apartment with Uncle Vincent in tow, attempting what can only be described as an intervention in reverse. Vincent tried to convince me that I was destroying the family over a simple misunderstanding, and that I should not only drop any legal action but also go through with the property transfer for family unity. The audacity was breathtaking. Here was the man who'd gambled away $50,000 of my parents' money, lecturing me about family values. Sarah was home when they arrived, and she quietly recorded the entire interaction on her phone. This proved invaluable later, as Vincent explicitly admitted to knowing about the forged documents and actually encouraging my parents to go through with it. He said, and I quote, "Sometimes you have to take what's yours from family who won't share willingly." That was the moment I knew I had to proceed with legal action. I filed a police report the next day. The detective assigned to the case was surprisingly sympathetic. Apparently, elder financial fraud is common, but fraud by elders against their adult children is becoming increasingly prevalent too. My parents were charged with identity theft and attempted fraud. Vincent was charged as an accessory. The case hasn't gone to trial yet. My lawyer thinks they'll likely plea bargain for probation and restitution, but the damage to our relationship is complete. Emma has been incredible through all of this. She moved into her own apartment within 2 weeks of our confrontation and has cut off all financial ties with our parents. She's also been seeing a legitimate therapist to deal with the guilt and manipulation she's experienced. The irony, she told me last week, is that I actually did end up depressed, not from the breakup, but from their gaslighting. Her business has continued to thrive. She even offered me a marketing contract for my side project, which I accepted. Working with her professionally has actually brought us closer as siblings. As for the forensic accounting, Nathan uncovered even more than we initially discovered. My parents had also opened credit cards in Emma's name, with her SSN from old tax documents, and run up about $30,000 in debt. They'd been making minimum payments, so Emma never knew. Her credit was being destroyed without her knowledge. Emma is now working with her own lawyer to address the identity theft and repair her credit. She was devastated when she found out, not just about the betrayal but because she'd been planning to buy her own place soon. The extended family has been split. Some relatives think I'm heartless for involving the police. Others, particularly those who've also been burned by Vincent's schemes over the years, have been supportive. My Aunt Patricia called me last week to say she was proud of me for standing up to them. They've been enabling Vincent for decades, she said. Maybe this will finally be the wake-up call everyone needs. My grandparents on my mother's side reached out last month. They were horrified by what their daughter had done and offered to help with legal fees. I declined, but I appreciated the gesture. They also shared that this wasn't the first time Mom had tried something like this. Apparently, she'd once tried to convince them to change their will to exclude her sister Angela after a minor disagreement. The rental property remains safely in my name. My tenants, a lovely young family, have no idea about the drama that almost led to their home being sold out from under them. The property management company has added extra security measures to prevent any future forgery attempts. The most surprising development came last week. Ryan, Emma's ex, reached out to me. He'd heard about everything through mutual friends and wanted me to know something. "Emma didn't tell you the whole truth about our breakup," he said when we met for coffee. "I didn't leave her. She left me. And your parents were a big reason why." According to Ryan, our parents had been increasingly invasive in their relationship. They'd show up unannounced at their apartment, criticize Ryan's job, he's a teacher, and constantly tell Emma she could do better. They'd even suggested that Emma was settling because of low self-esteem. Emma stood up to them initially, Ryan said. But the constant pressure wore her down. She started doubting us, wondering if they were right. Eventually, she ended things. A week later, she moved back in with them, and they constructed this whole narrative about me breaking her heart. Emma confirmed this when I asked her about it. "I was so confused," she admitted. "They'd gotten so into my head that I couldn't tell what my own feelings were anymore. After we broke up and I moved home, it was easier to let them believe their version of events." She and Ryan have been talking again recently. Not romantically, too much has happened, but as friends working through shared trauma. Which brings us to today. My parents' house is in foreclosure. They've moved into a small apartment, and from what I hear through the grapevine, they're both working multiple jobs to pay off their debts. Vincent has disappeared, probably moved on to scam other relatives or friends. They've sent me several letters. I haven't opened them. Sarah thinks I should, for closure if nothing else, but I'm not ready. Maybe one day. Emma and I have grown closer through this ordeal. We have dinner every Sunday, a new tradition we started to rebuild our relationship outside of our parents' influence. Last week, she brought her business partner, and we discussed potentially investing in a property together. Legally, transparently, and with proper contracts. "No forgery required," Emma joked, and we actually laughed about it. I've been in therapy myself, working through the guilt, anger, and grief of losing the parents I thought I had. My therapist, Dr. Williams, has helped me understand that I'm mourning not just the relationship but the illusion of who my parents were. "You're grieving the parents you deserved," she said, "not necessarily the ones you had. Sarah and I are stronger than ever." Her parents, after hearing the full story, offered to be my adoptive family. Her dad actually called my parents' actions absolutely barmy, which, in British terms, is apparently quite severe condemnation. Looking back, the red flags were always there. The favoritism, the manipulation, the financial secrecy, the enabling of toxic behavior. But when you're in it, when it's your normal, you don't see it clearly. If there's a lesson in all of this, it's that family isn't a license to steal, lie, or manipulate. Blood relation doesn't grant immunity from consequences. And sometimes, protecting yourself from family is the healthiest thing you can do. I still drive by the rental property sometimes. It's a modest 2-bedroom house, nothing fancy, but it represents something important now. Not just financial security, but the moment I chose to stand up for myself, to refuse to be manipulated, to demand respect even from those who claimed to love me most. Grandpa left me that house, but more importantly, he left me the backbone to keep it. I think he'd be proud of how I handled things, even if it meant standing up to his own daughter. As for Emma and me, we're building something new, a sibling relationship based on mutual respect, honest communication, and clear boundaries. It's not what we had growing up, but it might be something better. The legal proceedings continue, but I've made peace with my decision. Sometimes doing the right thing means doing the hard thing. Sometimes protecting yourself means letting go of people who should have protected you. And sometimes, the best revenge against those who tried to steal from you is simply living well, surrounded by people who actually respect you, managing the property they tried to take, and building the life they said you didn't deserve. I know this isn't the update some hoped for, a happy reconciliation, forgiveness all around. But it's real, and it's mine, and unlike the stories my parents told, it's the truth. Thank you to everyone who offered support and advice. Your outside perspectives helped me see through the fog of manipulation and gave me the courage to protect myself. I hope my story helps someone else recognize these patterns before they escalate to this level. Emma just texted me. She landed another major client and wants to celebrate. We're going to dinner at the place we used to go as kids, before everything got complicated. We're writing new stories now, better ones, honest ones. And that rental property, still mine, still generating income, still the best inheritance a grandfather could leave. Not just the asset itself, but the strength to keep it.